Well, we have come to the end, my friend. The end of Mistborn. 3 books: Final Empire, Well of Ascension, and The Hero of Ages. I will start off. For those of you who just want a quick to know if it's worth reading or not, yes. If you finished the second one, if you liked what was going on, what you learned, you enjoyed all that, this one wraps everything up. You're going to find out what everything means, and you still learn more that you didn't even expect to learn or to know about. That's what's so crazy about this is like the last 100 pages or so is like drinking from a fire hose of information and revelations that take you way back to the first book where you're like, "Oh my goodness, that's what was going on? That's what that meant? I had no idea." You wouldn't even think that any of that had any severe repercussions or really had a severe effect on what was going on still in the third book. So if you love the second one, I know you're going to keep on going to the third one. If you're iffy on the second one, finish it off, right? Everything's going to come together. It's amazing how well Mr. Sanderson not only wraps things up, but how he dropped things and planted things and just put this here and put this there in the first book, that it all comes rushing back in this one. And I just had to sit there and admire it and be like, wow. I think, how could you think to put this jigsaw puzzle, spread it out all over the place and then bring it all together at the very end? Incredible. It was absolutely incredible. I won't say it's as good as the first book. The first book still is, it's well beyond the second and third book just because it is so fast. There's a lot going on. I gave the first book to a guy at work, and he kind of was reading it slowly at first, and then once he got like 100 pages into it or so, he just has zoomed through it. He loved it. So the second and third ones not as good. Obviously, with everything coming together in the third one, you tend to think the third one's better. I don't know. I'll let you decide that once you read it. But how to talk about this one? I'll just tell you kind of what it goes through and what we start with. We start out with Marsh, find out what Marsh is doing. We so we get, like, I think it might be the first chapter is with Marsh and Inquisitors. Then it jumps to Tensoon. He goes back to his homeland because he has to deal with the repercussions of betraying Zane to help Vin, right? He betrayed his owner, the person he had a contract with, so he's gone back to his homeland to for his punishment. So this book, you get a lot with the Khandra, Tensoon, and learning about them and their history, which is really, really interesting. Of course, you learn more about Marsh and the Inquisitors and what exactly is going on with them. Um, Whereas the second one, it was all about like Luthadel and the siege of the city, or trying to elect kings and decide who was going to rule it. This one, the main quest that they're trying to deal with Elend, is going around. The Lord Ruler had caverns made in all these different cities, and they're trying to go through because the ash is getting worse, the mist is getting worse. They're finding it difficult to grow crops, and it's going to be an extinction level event, an environmental calamity, because the ash is just covering the world. So they're going around to all these caverns that the Lord Ruler had put together. Some of them are stores of like food or water, but they're really trying to find an answer to how to survive. So, and everyone you find leaves a clue to the next, where the next cavern is. So it's not like they can just go to every single one at once. They have to go one by one. So that's what they're dealing with. Ellen's dealing with trying to basically save humanity. Vin and like Sazed are still trying to work on what was going on at the well, what was released, how, what. Whereas Ellen is worried about the physical stuff and the people. Vin's got more of the problem of that thing that was released. Maybe we can stop that or deal with that, and that will solve our problem. So a lot of the book, it's all right. It's not bad. It's a little weird at times. Like, for instance, I will tell you, at one point, Vin and Ellen go to a ball again, and you're like, in the midst of all this, we're going to a ball, which they even admit is a little weird. So there's like weird stuff like that. But the last 100 pages are amazing. It answers all your questions. It doesn't do what you expect. Definitely does not do what you expect. Even I, who had listened to it 10 years ago, I didn't even remember what all went on. And the truth that you discover is incredible. It's just amazing. So I'm not going to go keep going on about it. If you've read the first two books, do yourself a favor, finish it off, finish the story, learn about everything, and get your answers to everything. You're going to enjoy it, and your mind's going to be blown at the end. I just went back and I read the last maybe like 50 or 60 pages before this again because I just wanted to go through it all. And even reading it through a second time just a few days later, I'm like, oh, I just forgot that little snippet of information that just pops up. And you just kind of go through things. It's a lot. It's a lot. So go on, read the third one. Come back for the spoiler section. We're going to do spoilers now. And let me know down below what you think about it. We'll see you after you've read it for spoilers. Okay? So we're going to do spoilers now. Spoiler time. Did I say spoilers? Yeah, spoilers. All right. So for spoilers, I got to have my phone, of course. Lots and lots of notes. And I know I'm going to miss stuff. There is so much to talk about. So many events or scenes that we could go through and sit here forever, but I just want to kind of go through some thoughts, and I'll kind of do what I do with the other one, just go through some of the characters. Let's start with Spook and his deal. I forget. Oh, Urto. Urto is where he is. He's just there as a spy, but then he becomes a legend in himself amongst the town for what the fire survivor or survivor of the flames or something like that. And so that's pretty interesting because Spook, he's always been sitting there and being like, well, Ellen can do this, Vin can do this, Kelsier can do this, even my uncle and these people can do this. All I can do is listen. Which was kind of weird when he was like flaring his tin for so long and he would just like put the blindfold over. I don't know why he's doing that to himself. It's kind of like a drug abuse or something, this power you have, but then you just keep getting more and more that you become desensitized to it, to eventually you have to wear nearly a blindfold just to go out at night. So yeah, weird stuff, but you can understand that, why all these people can do such amazing things, and all I can do is, you hear that? I hear a mouse pooping in the woods 10 miles away. That's my power. That's my contribution to the group. So when he goes into that, or he gets captured, right? And he's in that house, it's on fire, and he sees Kelsier. And even I'm like wondering, all right, what is this? Surely it's just a vision. But then when he gives him the power to burn pewter, you're like, what? What is going on here? And you start thinking, okay, now are we going to have people that can burn like just two? There's mistings and then there's full blown mistborns. Are there people who can just burn two? Can they be like dualomancers or something like that? So that was pretty crazy. And you felt good for him because he's like, what is this? Look at me. I'm finally Superman. I can do anything. So that was pretty awesome to see. Obviously, the voice in his head. Oh, there's so much with Ruin and the voice. Yeah, that was Spook's deal. Obviously, we know how that ends. He has to, you know, give up the power, basically, which had to be hard. It would be hard for anybody become what you feel like is Superman and have to be like, you know what? No, this isn't right. This isn't right. So that's difficult. That's difficult. Marsh is the same old, right? Just keeps getting worse. You would learn the interesting things. Man, it's so interesting to try to imagine his situation where your thoughts are free. You can sit here and think anything you want. But if you start to twitch a finger in the wrong direction, Ruin will pop right back in your head like, what are you doing? So there's so many interesting parts with just him by himself and what he's thinking versus what he does, right? Is he the one who keeps on thinking like as the ash is falling and falling and everything's being ruined? Huh? And he's like in his mind, he's like, I've got to find a way to stop this. But then he looked amongst the ash, burying everything, and he smiled. It's so beautiful, isn't it? Crazy. So we of course learned about the hemalurgy, how you have to drive like a spike through someone else. Insane, insane. How do you think about that? So interesting was the stuff with Tensoon of the third generation. We've got several generations, but when he gets imprisoned and they question him and he just wants to warn him. This is what's coming. This is what's going to happen. And we learn, of course, there's a whole lot of stuff with that, but we eventually learn that the Kandra have the spikes in their bodies. So when he gets like Orsur's body and now he's got, what is it? The two blessings, potency, and I forgot the other one. So now he's kind of like a dual misting, right? He's got two of these Khandra powers. That was really interesting. So cool are the Khandra. Um, the big revelation with the Khandra are that the first generation were the Pac-Men that were walking with Rashik and Alendi. And when the Lord Ruler took the power from the well, that he turned them into mistings, but then he gave them power of or gave them sapiens, right? So they wouldn't just be mindless blobs, taking on bones and whatnot. So that was crazy. Like, oh, the first generation who are not speaking, who are just sitting up there, they have been true. We knew they had been around forever, but that's why they were the Pac-Men. Incredible, crazy stuff. Obviously, more stuff to talk about with the Condor later. And the Koloss are the same. Koloss with their spikes. I forget who was asking. Maybe it was Ellen asking Human about why are there no babies? How do you make new Koloss? And he takes off at one point with all these spikes, and he wants to run to the triage tent or something, and like stick him in a guy. He's like, oh geez, you just create them out of these spikes. They really are people. That's why he's saying I'm human. It's why he wants money, because they have these faint recollections of what it was like to be human. Insane. All right, let's get to again, this story, the actual story part, the main quest for like Ellen is kind of interesting, but not as much as the overall story and the problem, right? Just like the second one, where you got to deal with the armies outside and electing the king. This one, you have them searching for all the different caverns and what's all doing that. Talking to, who is it, Yeoman? Okay, it's all just for me, it was like filler. It was like, all right, get back to Ruin and what's going on with all that stuff. Of course, then they go to the balls and they get trapped. Yeoman's a bit clever, or maybe he had help from Ruin telling them what was going to happen. But Vin gets stuck in that stone vault room, and Reen shows up. And at first, I was like, holy crap, Reen has been a Mistborn this whole time. Oh, no, it's just Ruin. Ruin once again. And she's got to figure out a way to get out of there. Yeah. You know what happened. I don't want to go through everything all again. The big thing with me that I had remembered in the back of my head, that there was something about Vin's earring. Something about that. And I couldn't remember if she could use her ring for power or what was going on, but no. Vin's whole backstory with her mom and her sister. Her sister was a seeker, right? And I forget if her mom had powers or what was going on there. But all we heard about for these books was how just Vin's mom, she's just a crazy woman who killed her sister. And, she had to get out of there. But then the mom's earring drove that little metal spike through Vin's ear. And that it was Ruin's doing way back then. That's what I'm talking about with the first book. And like, she would just remember her mom, and it's like, oh, Ruin was interfering with her life even way back then. This thing we just thought wasn't anything. Oh yeah, she wants to find her earring, put it back in because she misses her mom. But then she'd hear Reen's voice. It wasn't Reen's voice, it was Ruin's voice the whole time. Just mind-blowing stuff to realize all that stuff. So Marsh, good on Marsh. When they're fighting, she goes back to Luthadel and just destroys the palace. Critic Shaw fighting all these Inquisitors, rips out that spike. And or was it beforehand, where Marsh he has the axe, right? He's gonna kill her, but at the last moment he like swipes off the earring, which lets the mist go into her and lets her fight off Marsh. I'm trying to think, and even I was reading the last pages again. What happened? Marsh must no, because he healed himself. So we'll skip ahead, I guess, to the pits. And even at the end, Ruin is changing the writing, right? Remember, Ellen goes to Luthadel. He sees that writing, whether it's in sand or dirt, and I forget the guy's name who was in charge there, who went mad and killed himself, and he told him to go to the Terrace Mountains. But then he hears that voice from Vin. By then, Vin has already poofed basically into the role of preservation. It was a weird time to do that when she was about to pull out that second spike from Marsh, and then she just kind of turned to smoke. Crazy. So Ellen's back there, sees that note. He hears north, right? Go north. And then Marsh comes, flowing back fights Ellen. Crazy fight. You got Vin, basically like an angel with a guiding hand on Ellen's shoulders. Marsh gets a brief glimpse of her, and they basically hack each other at the same time. And that's when he reveals to Marsh that, yeah, what you want, it was here, but it's not here anymore. We burned it all away. Burned it all away. Crazy. And of course, Marsh gets all angry and cuts off his head. And even sitting here, I don't remember what happened to Marsh. Somebody, I just read this. Message me down below. What happened to Marsh? Because it said he healed himself up. Did he have a place in the world after Says had fixed it all? Or I don't remember. But yeah, then it turns out, of course, Vin uses whatever power of preservation to just push. This whole time we've heard about pushing on people's emotion. That's what I felt like when she was pushing against Ruin, because he was trying to interfere, and he did interfere with some of the Khandra, but then she could push and stop his action, stop him from trying to hurt Ellen, and then she just kept pushing and push and push and push and push until they became one and poofed into the abyss, and their bodies fall down. And the weird thing, the white smoke coming out of Vin's body, the black smoke out of Ruin's. It's kind of weird that after all of this, we never learn, right? We never learn who Ruin is. Like, he had a body, it said, with red hair. Where did he come from? If they were they around forever, preservation or Ruin, but yet had a body? That'd be interesting to know about. But yeah, the white smoke coming out of Vin, the black coming out of Ruin, and Sazed like puts his hands into it. He can feel it, and he doesn't quite want it. But then, again, the revelations that all this, what other people called silliness, of him studying religion, spending all his time just sitting around studying different religions. Oh, tell me about this one. And they'd kind of do it because they were bored, right? Tell me about one of your religions. Oh, okay, yeah, I don't like that one. But yeah, you go ahead and keep on studying. But then he names them all, starts naming the religion that did the map working, the ones who studied the stars. So he can put the planet in the proper place. He can build up the coast and the mountains and how the world is supposed to be based on those maps. He learned about the artist people, the ones who worshipped animals, about what the animals are supposed to be like, what colors are supposed to be like, and even the ones who studied anatomy, because the people in the Final Empire, their bodies had been changed. They weren't like our bodies. They had to change to be able to live in a place where ash was constantly falling. So knowing all this, and he just keeps naming, and this for this, and this for this, and this, and you're just like, oh, your whole life's work, that stuff people kind of made fun of you or dismissed you for, maybe respected you but dismissed you for, and even you yourself, you started to doubt. It's like, just why am I doing this? Because he even went out. Remember, I think it was the second book where he's trying to preach to other people about these different religions. They didn't care, and he's like, what am I doing? Nobody cares about this stuff. But then all the knowledge from everyone, all the terrorist people, and those books that appeared at the end, was that only his, from his metal minds, or did he somehow have the power to see all the terrorist people's metal minds and write books about all of that? I'm not sure. Some still unanswered questions about some of this, but yeah, I'm just still not sure too much what to say, because it is mind-blowing. I do like those moments where Vin was trying to do exactly what the Lord Ruler, like push the planet away and move this and move this. And it talked about the sun getting too bright when she blew away the ash mounts. And they're saying this, and you're like, wait a minute, what? There's people down there. What's happening? And they talked about the tidal wave, but Ellen even was like, there was that moment where it became like daylight for no reason, and the sun was super hot. It's like, what the heck is going on? Yeah, but it does leave you. With something good, right? When everything's put together, blue sky, green field, and Ellen and Vin are laying there together. Her in her mistcloak, him in his white king's uniform. And was it the note that says it writes? And he's like, "Don't worry about our friends. I put them back together again, but it doesn't mean they'll come back to life. But don't worry, I've talked to them. They're fine. They're resting, and it's a rest they deserve. I think." Always with the I think. Who was it? Oh, and then a gift from Kelsier makes Spook Mistborn. So hopefully this time with his, he won't become the OD drug addict with his newfound power. What else can I say about it? I was deciding or debating on doing a video for the whole series. I'm not sure about that because basically the thing that is mind blowing about this is what I already said, how everything not only comes together at the end, but all the drops, the drips, the tiny little things seemingly insignificant from the very first book that we don't care about. And then things like Sazed, where even our characters stop caring about things, and it turns out, oh, it was all so, so important. So I think I'll just leave it there instead of rambling on. Let me do one last check and see if I have anything else going on. Uh, nah, that's pretty much it. Two more medals. I started reading, was it the second era? Is that what they call it? The Wax and Wane or whatever. And I didn't really care for it. This was years and years ago. Don't know if I'll get back into those. Um, but anyhow, let me stop there. It's been an awesome, awesome ride to read these books again. The second and third books, they didn't get me like I thought they would. Like I had remembered, the first one is just purely amazing, and the story as a whole is awesome. So thank you so much for coming along for the ride. Please do comment down below. Let me know what you think about everything that went on in the Final Empire. If you've read the newer era stuff, maybe drop a little comment and be like, hey, it's actually good, or tell me, yeah, you can skip it, don't worry about it. I will appreciate that. Please do like and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. And this is coming out the end of September, so we're coming into, I've been calling it Spooky Month, but I have a 1 week vacation, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get to too many spooky books. I've got Dungeon Crawler Carl 3 to read, and I do have Little Heaven by Nick Cutter and Last Days by Adam Neville. So a couple of creepy ones for October. Stick around for those, and I will see you next time.